This week, Uncle Ben is going to help you tap into the power of harmonic minor. Hey there kids, and welcome to this week's installment of Weekend Wankshop here with your good pal, Uncle Ben. The good old harmonic minor scale is the favorite of Yngwies all over the world. You've heard all kinds of other dudes use it too, like Romeo from Symphony X, Paul Gilbert, and many more. At its core, all that it is a minor scale with a raised 7th note. But that one note makes all the difference in terms of how that sounds and the kind of chords and stuff you can build out of it. This week's lick is a slipping and sliding and tapping affair that goes all over the top 4 strings of the guitar, and it sounds great over an A minor chord in your next neoclassical extravaganza. But before we get tapping straight into it, let's hear it again at stepdad speed. And as always, you can find a full tab for this week's lick on my Instagram page. So be sure to go over to Instagram, look up BenEllerGuitars, find the tab for this week's lick, learn how to play it, and upload a video of yourself tapping along through it along with the hashtag Weekend Wankshop. And please note that cool points will be deducted for use of a hairband to assist in muting. Okay, so like I said in the intro there, this is based around the A harmonic minor scale, which is just like an A minor scale, only with a raised 7. So it ends up being the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp, that's the raised 7th, and the A. Okay, so for starters, I'm going to begin by playing the root note of the scale with a hammer-on from nowhere, kind of Eddie Van Halen style. What that means is I'm just going to take my left hand here and hammer down quickly on the note and hold it down. It's got to be a quick, powerful strike like that in order to sound that note out. So I'm going to hammer on the 7, hammer on the 9, and then tap the 10 with my right hand. Next what I'm going to do is go to the G string here. I'm going to hammer on 7, hammer on 9, tap 10, pull off to 9, and pull off to 7. So now so far we should have this. One thing you want to be really careful about the whole time that you're playing this is not getting any bleed over whenever you change strings. In other words, you don't want to hear the tapped note on the D string ring out at all with the first note on the G like that. You don't want that. And what that involves is basically letting go of this guy the nanosecond that you tap this guy. It's kind of like these two fingers are never pushing down at the exact same time. One is always off and one is always on. Like that. And another tip I'd give you too to make those string changes sound really even and not get noisy, because if you come off of this note hard at all, you'll sound out an open string like that, right? Be sure with the left hand here, whenever you get down onto the G string, you see how the tip of my finger is kind of touching the D just a little bit? So in other words, the D isn't ringing free and clear, it's kind of dampened. That involves kind of fretting a little bit lower on the index finger rather than the tip like this. So watch that move again. Anyway, so the last thing that we played there was the 7th fret on the G string. After that, slide up to 9, hammer on 10, tap 13. Next what you're going to do is to go to the B string here. We're going to play 10, 12, tap 13, pull off to 12, pull off to 10. So coming off of the last lick, we should have this. Then we slide. So coming off that last lick, we're going to slide up again to the 12 on the B, hammer on 13, tap 15. Next go to the high E string here, hammer on 12, hammer on 13, tap 16, pull back off to 13, pull back off to 12. And then the very last thing that you do here is to tap the 16, and while you tap here, bend the string with the left hand. In other words, don't tap and try to bend with the tapping finger. It's really hard to get a good strong sounding bend out of that, That's just one finger that's not used to doing this job compared to, using these dudes who are very well qualified for the work at hand. So again, tap and just hold it down with this hand. Let this hand do the bend. It doesn't matter where the bend is. It doesn't have to be a fret away. It can be anywhere. It doesn't matter. But just do a half-step bend. That way you're taking it back up to the root note of A. So once more at a medium pace. 1, 2, 3, 4. just like that. And it's really important to notice that whenever you're playing two-hand taps like this, if you ever want to play that stuff without a hairband, because you do want to play that stuff without a hairband, because it's cooler, you got to really pay close attention to the muting that you're doing with both hands. So I hope all you guys have watched the recent episode of This Is Why You Suck at Guitar that I put up called Your Muting/Dampening Sucks, which covers all kinds of techniques for cleaning up your playing using muting with both hands. If you haven't, be sure to check that out and you'll get a really in-depth look at some of the stuff I'm about to talk about. A really important thing to notice here is the way that the left-hand index finger stays very flat and very draped across these strings. In other words, you won't see me playing this lick with my fingers all arched up like this, because then all these sympathetic vibrations can ring out like that. That just won't work. So you'll notice that my index finger tends to stay pretty flat. Now this means I'm not really fretting with the tip of the index finger. I'm fretting more on the face of the index finger. You can see the crease in my finger like that. Whenever you do this, it allows you to use kind of the front side of the finger to mute all those strings beneath the one that's in play at the time, thus cutting down on a lot of sympathetic vibrations and noise and stuff. So be sure, don't arch like this with all the fingers. Stay flat with the pointer finger, and the other fingers can arch, that's fine. Just be sure to stay kind of flat and soft with the pointer finger here. And the right hand muting is really important here too. Basically what's going on is using the kind of inside of my wrist and the butt of my palm. This guy is always leaning up against the strings that are not being played at that time. So basically what I'm saying here is like the first lick, right, where it's just on the D string. If you had x-ray vision here, you could see that the top two strings above the one I'm playing, A and E, are being muted back here by the inside of my forearm and bottom of the palm like that. Now whenever I shift to the G string, now over here I've got the top three strings captured in the right hand. Again, I'm not muting the one I'm playing because then you don't get anything. I'm muting everything above. It can be really tricky to get a feel for that because the difference between muting 3 strings and muting 4 strings is minuscule. So that's one of those things that does take some time to develop, but it's well worth it considering you can ditch the hairband and quit robbing your stepmom's bathroom for those things all the time. So there you go guys, a sick tapped harmonic minor lick you can use in your next power metal, epic odyssey jam, or whatever you want to do. I also recommend practicing that lick with all picking instead too, you know, no tapping at all, just basically alternate picking your way through the entire thing. That'll give a cool kind of Yngwie-esque sound. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BenEllerGuitars. I also recently started a Facebook fan page for myself, so you can go add me on there as well, facebook.com/Uncle Ben Eller. Also, if you're interested in booking some one-on-one Skype lessons with me, be sure to drop me an email, BenEllerGuitars@gmail.com. I'll try to get back with you fast, and we'll talk about rates and times and set something up. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned next week for another dope lick. See you then. Cheers.